Hi there, folks. This is Adam with 8 Badge Gaming coming to you today with the final video in our Baby Buzzwole series. Now, as you can see by our title card here, today is our deck review. This is where we're going to go through the matchups that we had, how we felt against them, what cards we felt could have been better in the deck, what we would like to replace, what we might want to change, etc. So let's go ahead and dive on into it there. Now, with the deck itself, as you know from our deck tech video, it is running the 3-2 line of Baby Buzzwole to regular Buzzwole. Now, for me, I'm actually a bigger fan of the regular Buzzwole over Baby Buzzwole. And the main reason for that is Baby Buzzwole, with its Sledgehammer attack, requires a lot more setup, a little bit more of a consistency to how you want your opponents to take prizes for you to be able to get that extra damage off the Sledgehammer attack. We did get to succeed with it in some games, particularly versus the Tapu Bulu deck that we played the first game in this series. We were able to get a Sledgehammer suited up that could just one-shot KO any of the GXs that he promoted. Now, it is going to be difficult to get your opponent down to exactly 4 prizes. If they take any single prizer and then take a GX, you're never going to be able to use the Sledgehammer attack to its full capability there. So you do have to play in this little almost game of cat and mouse with your opponent, where you're trying to bait them into knocking out certain Pokemon on your side, just so you can get that Sledgehammer set up for the extra damage. It does add an extra level of complexity to the deck, and being only an average player myself, if that, I don't think I have the capability of being able to consistently set up the Sledgehammer attack on the Baby Buzzwole. Whereas when you move over to the regular Buzzwole, you really just need to get energy onto it for it to be able to do some large amounts of damage and usually go for a one-shot KO. So the big Buzzwole is more of a all-in attacker, something that you're going to invest fully on with things like the Max Elixirs, the Beast Rings, etc. Whereas the Baby Buzzwole is usually more applicable in just certain situations. So if it were me, I would cut it down to the regular traditional Buzzwole list, where it's only running the one of Baby Buzzwole now. Bring the regular Buzzwole count up to a 3 of, and then that gives us another slot to play with. Now, that brings us into my questions about the 1-1 line of the Rockruff and Lycanroc, and the 1-1 line of the Remoraid and Octillery. There were multiple games where I had one of the Remoraid or Octillery line prized, and this deck, with it only running 8 draw supporters, really consistently wants to get that Octillery online. It really needs that additional draw support that the Octillery does provide. If it were me, I would be looking to go down on some of the other incidental things. In this particular case, if we're dropping 2 of the Baby Buzzwoles, we're going up 1 regular Buzzwole, then we're still left at 1 slot available. I would actually drop 1 of the Guzmas, potentially, because I still do like the bonus damage from the Diancie, the bonus damage from the Regirock. It does let us hit some specific numbers there. And the Guzma, when you're not going with the full Baby Buzzwole package, is a little less applicable. You are going to be softening up your opponent's bench with the jet punches and things like that, but you want to be able to just get consistent cards in hand over pushing your opponent's Pokemon from the bench up into the active. So if it were me, I would drop, as I said, the 2 Baby Buzzes, 1 Guzma, and go up 1 regular Buzzwole and 1-1 on the Remoraid Octillery line, just to give that it little bit of extra consistency there. The Super Rod I didn't find terribly applicable. I could consider possibly dropping it out. I can't really say I know. I believe with this deck that the main purpose of the Super Rod is the ability to shuffle the KO'd Buzzwoles back in, whether they're the Baby Buzzwoles or the Buzzwole GXs. And when you're using things like Brooklet Hill, shuffling it into your deck is just as good as putting it in your hand, because you can Brooklet Hill it just directly onto your bench. If we are looking at going up to greater consistency on the Buzzwole itself, we may consider shaving a Floatstone, but if we're still going to be using things like Regirock, I kind of still do like the 3-3 line of Choice Band and Floatstone, because there's going to be many situations you want the bonus damage, but there's going to be plenty of situations you want to be able to get, say, a Regirock that's been Guzma'd up out of the active as well. Now, the Beast Ring itself is a very strong card when you can get it to work. just like with the Baby Buzzwole, you do have to play around your opponent's prizes a fair bit, but this one is a little more relaxed than Baby Buzzwole because you can use it as long as your opponent has 3 or 4 prize cards remaining. So in the cases where they're at 1, 2, 5, or 6, this is going to be useless, but 3, 4 is that mid-range point of the game. This allows them, or having that 2 range in prizes, makes it a lot harder for them to try and dodge the specific numbers particularly. I know with the Baby Buzzwole, if they go for 1 prize attacker and then take out your GX, then you're looking at them going down to 3 prizes, never hitting that 4 prize mark, and making it much harder to use that sledgehammer attack. But with Beast Ring, it's almost impossible, I won't say outright impossible, but almost impossible to actually have them skip the 3 and 4 range entirely when they're taking prizes. I know there are some particular setups that can allow you to take additional prizes, but in this particular case, we're looking at using the Beast Ring almost guaranteed at some point during the game if we have it. We do have the consistency on the Ultra Beasts as well for the Beast Ring to be more applicable, but if we're going down from 5 between the 3 and 2 of Baby Buzzwole to GX, and we're going down to 4 total of 1 Baby Buzzwole and 3 Buzzwole GX, then you might want to consider maybe shaving a Beast Ring because there's going to be times where it's going to be less applicable. So, if I were to give this deck an overall rating, I would give it at least a B+. It probably does deserve a higher rating than that. It's just, for me, I just likely don't have the skill to play it to its best capabilities. When people like Igor Costa can take this deck and just straight up win a regionals with it, it really goes far to show the power level of the deck, power level of Baby Buzzwole in particular, because it is the most common attacker in this deck with the 3 of count. If I could, I would try to squeeze in another line of the Rockruff Lycanroc, just to have that consistency with the Lysander effect. If we're doing that, the only things I could consider shaving would be the Guzma, but we've already shaved one down already, and I don't think we really want to go lower than 3. So it's going to be a hard choice to try and figure out exactly what you would cut. I could potentially consider cutting a Floatstone here, just to get in an extra slot. And we could also look at potentially cutting the Regirock. While the 10 damage isn't always applicable, there are times when it can be great. It can push us to that specific amount that we need to get to. And when we have things like Diancie going to the Lost Zone, not being able to be bought back once it gets discarded in any way with the Super Rod or anything like that, then that is something to consider as well. So if I were to come back to you with, say, a finalist here, I think we would shave 2 Baby Buzzwole. We would shave a Guzma, a Floatstone, and a Super Rod, potentially. We would go up a Buzzwole, up a 1-1 line on Remoraid Octillery, and up a 1-1 line on Rockruff and Lycanroc. Now, we still do likely use the Forbidden Light Rockruff, just because the 70 HP is going to be more applicable than the Corner ability, because 70 HP requires either 3 spreads from something like a Tapu Koko, or more than 3 spreads from a Tapu Koko where it only puts 20 down, or more than 2 spreads on either a Jet Punch or on a, say, Latios' attack either, where it only puts 30 damage down. Being able to have it take 3 attacks rather than 2 can be extremely applicable. And you're not really using it to attack itself, I guess I should say, for the most part there. So overall, I did enjoy the deck. It's, I believe, a little bit over my head in complexity level. It definitely is not an easy deck to use, but it's definitely something that I think can be fun. It's one of those decks that really does reward your deck knowledge, your deck consistency, and just your overall practice with the deck. I definitely think it's going to be one of the decks to beat. Even in your local metas, anyone rolling this and having the experience with it is likely going to roll your face. It's an extremely strong deck. I did get to see glimpses of that during the gameplay videos, and I can definitely say that I would likely try to play it again. I would want to get some more practice with it, probably online or something like that, before taking it to a paper tournament, particularly if you're going to anything big, like a regionals or a special event. But overall, I do give it my seal of approval, as per se. It's a good deck to use, and I look forward to potentially playing it in paper at some point in the future. So with that said, that actually does clue up our deck review there today. As always, we do greatly appreciate your viewership here at 8-Badge Gaming. We wouldn't be doing it if it wasn't for the fans like you. We do, as we've mentioned in one of our previous videos, have a poll up on our Facebook page asking you all which deck you'd like to see be teched and played next week. I believe the choices that we have are the Zygarde GX Lycanroc GX deck, the Lapras GX deck, and the Sylveon GX deck. So it's the Sylveon Mill, I believe, and the Lapras Max Elixir plus Aqua Patch going for that Blizzard Burn attack deck. I do believe that the Lapras is leading right now in the votes, but that could change entirely because I do know that it's still within a couple of votes of the Sylveon GX deck as well. Alright, so everyone, again, thank you all for your viewership, and this is Adam with 8-Badge Gaming signing off.